Good day, welcome to another edition of Spotlight on Brewster Schools. Eric Gross, your host, along with Superintendent of Schools, Valerie Henning-Piedmont, and our special guest, although he's not special, he's been around a long time, the President of the Brewster Board of Education, Stephen Jambor. Steve, good to see you.
Mr. Gross, how are you?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Making his annual visit with us today. Been a good year in the Brewster Schools this year.
It's been an extremely busy year, probably one of the busiest years that I've seen. Just amazing when you consider where we began last summer, wrapping up the most ambitious construction project that we've ever had, $39 million. It arrived on time and on budget, and thanks to countless people who work here with us, who gave us the Labor Day weekend, so to speak, it opened just the way it was supposed to open.
We're going to be talking about the 2018-19 school budget that residents in the Brewster District will be voting upon on the 15th of the month at Brewster High School in just a few minutes. We're also going to be talking about some world-renowned musicians visiting Brewster High School. We're going to be discussing 5 seniors, 5 now, who signed letters of intent the other day to attend school and study as well as play sports at some prestigious colleges around the United States. Our favorite weatherman, Mike Woods, paid his annual visit. We're going to be chatting with numerous other people on the show right now. But first, let's briefly talk about that budget. Val, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, as they say, went into the budget. The budget totaling $99 million, up 3.75%, with a tax levy increase of 2.2%.
Yes, this is one of the most physically taxing parts of the school year. You might think it's mental work, but it really does require lots of parts of the school system coming together to really look at, starting in actually November of the school year, that we actually sit with the budget managers. That means every administrator in the district who supervises a department or a school, and we look at what their needs are within their budgets and how we can serve children, because that's at the end of the day, that's the conversation always leads to that. What do you need to support the needs of children? And from November on, we've been having those conversations. We've obviously been waiting to hear what the state provides, or was providing for districts in terms of an increase in last year's state aid. That's about $20 million of our total budget.
Mm-hmm.
The other comes from our taxpayers. So we certainly recognize the concerns that our taxpayers have with regards to the budget increasing and having increased over time, for many years, even pre-tax cap years. And this is the leanest budget that I think we could possibly create. We have streamlined and eliminated anything in the budget that we could afford not to include. We've obviously, continued to focus our priorities on implementing our strategic coherence plan, which is, our North Star, if you will, around how we want to ensure that all of our children leave the district prepared for life, work, and future learning. And there are certain components of this budget that certainly support that goal in terms of a focus on STEM curricula, on our English Language Arts Teachers College Reading Writing Workshop project, which is now in its 3rd year. The state, as you know, has shifted from the Common Core learning standards to the Next Generation learning standards, which then require the teachers to engage in some curriculum mapping, really looking at what they currently are using and what's changed. So that requires some time and thought. So there's and obviously our facilities are amazing, and again we want to thank the taxpayers for the generous construction bond of $38.9 million, which have allowed us to really make sure that we keep these properties in the best shape possible, so that our children are learning in exceptional locations, and they are. And so we're continuously mindful of how we're using the taxpayers' funds, but we are also supporting the learning of our children and the needs of our children, and that's what's really embedded in our budget.
And Steve, as Valerie said, taxpayer funds, leveraging that with a quality education, which the Brewster District has had for many, many years.
Well, it's true, although it isn't easy. It's been brutal, in fact, this year. The untold story is when the budget discussion was begun in November, we were probably a couple of million in the red. and then inched our way back, so that finally, literally in the last 2 weeks, 10 days, the administrators decided, central office administration, the administrators out in the buildings decided to freeze their salaries going into next year. As a result of that freeze, we were able then to reinstate a teacher. Mm-hmm. Because that was the commitment that the administrators felt to delivering on teaching. It was worth that trade for them. But that's huge. That's huge. And I'm, on behalf of the board and the district, very appreciative of that kind of sacrifice. And it's not the time to discuss it in depth, but as you know, one of the things I do statewide is try to procure correct funding for education, so that we have a sound basic education in place in our school district and every school district, and frankly, that's just not happening around the state.
You know, times have changed. I remember years ago, the state senator would come riding in on his white horse at the 11th hour. Here's another $2 million for you. Yeah. It happened in Brewster, it happened in neighboring districts. Those days are gone now.
Well, they are. And we wrote an article a couple of years ago, and the title is still valid, and that is, we're running out of runway. I don't care what district you're in, these are all friends of mine. So, you know, Bedford took a hit a couple of years ago. The next district takes a hit, we're taking the hit. It doesn't matter where you are in Westchester and Putnam. You will be running out of runway. And Americans from Washington down to Brewster have to figure out where our priorities are at. These are our future generations. And, you know, I'm proud of us, I'm proud. We not only got to the cap every year the cap's been in existence, we saved an additional $1 million against the cap. That's quite an accomplishment.
Okay. Victor Carlson, the Deputy Superintendent, and I are going to take a break now and give you some of the nuts and bolts of the 2018-19 budget. You stay tuned. Victor Carlson, welcome to the program.
Hi, good to see you.
As we say, the nuts and bolts guy when it comes to the budget. And Victor, in the next few minutes, let's have a little discussion about the budget for the 2018-19 school year. As we said earlier, it's a $99 million fiscal spending plan calling for a 2.2% tax levy increase.
Right.
How did the Board of Education, how did the administration put this budget together, and what's happened now?
Well, I would say that this was a very, very challenging year. We had a few budget drivers that were affecting us negatively. We had a large increase in the teachers' retirement system. The Controller's Office sets the rates for the pension systems, both the TRS that applies to teachers and administrators and teaching assistants, and also the employee retirement system that applies to all non-instructional staff like our cleaners, bus drivers, clerical workers, etc. Those budget drivers impacted our budget negatively. We also had an increase in health insurance. Much like any company across the country, health insurance costs are going up. So those were the two main budget drivers. And contrast this with the 17-18 budget, our current year. We actually had a $500,000 savings in terms of pension contributions in the 17-18 year as compared to 16-17. So last year's budget process was a breeze because we had a $500,000 worth of relief. This year, we got it on the other end, and it was a significant increase. So again, pensions and health insurance, and also salary increases. Every member in this district is part of a collective bargaining unit or a management confidential employee. They all have employment contracts, and within those employment contracts, there are guaranteed step increases, ranging from 1% all the way up to 6.7%. And these collective bargaining agreements were negotiated decades before the tax cap came into play, but we're still, they're still guaranteed. So those are the challenges that we face, and that's an annual difficulty in terms of the step increases for collective bargaining agreements.
How does state aid come into play here?
So our state aid makes up roughly 20% of our spending. So our revenue budget is about 75% tax levy, another 20% state aid. So really the state is controlling 95% of our revenue budget through the tax cap and then also through our state aid allocation. This year our state aid, from the governor's proposal, they're projecting a worst case scenario from their end in terms of building aid. So with the construction projects that we have that are tying up,
Right.
they're estimating a worst case scenario that we're going to complete that project by June 30th, which we know we're not going to. So we had to perform a reconciliation to back out that money that we know that we're not going to receive. After that reconciliation, our state aid is only going up 2.8%. So our state aid to go up 2.8%, our tax levy to go up only 2.2%, yet again, I mentioned the collective bargaining agreements ranging from 1% to 6.7%. Our pension costs are going up, a rate-to-rate increase of 8.5%. Our health insurance premiums are going up 3.7%. So the math doesn't add up.
Yeah. What about the appropriated fund balance?
That's another new and one-time impact on the 18-19 budget. So I included in the budget statement a pretty thorough explanation of what that is, but it's still very confusing. And actually, at the budget hearing, we have our architects and construction managers coming to help explain where we are in that process. So in December of 2014, the budget was developed for all of our capital improvement projects, a $39 million budget.
Right.
We're at the very end of it now that we have completed the building addition work. We've replaced roofs. We did a district-wide security project. We did some construction at the transportation facility, and we now are in the final phase of that work, which includes paving at JFK.
Right.
Back in February of this year, our architects and construction managers provided us with an estimate of how much money we had left from that original project budget. And at that point in time, the outlook was very conservative, that we would only have about $100,000 left in that budget, but that we would have about $1 million worth of paving to do at JFK. And the $1 million seems like a lot of money, but it's not simply top coating. We're on wetlands, so therefore we need to make sure that everything is compacted and that it's not going to crack, a year after being installed. So we allocated a very conservative amount of money to make sure that we covered that paving project. And the allocation was $960,000 that would come directly from our savings account, go into the capital fund in order to pay for this paving project. All of this was done before bids were opened. Before the project, budget was, reconciled most recently. I had a conversation with our architects this morning, actually, and we have encouraging news that we're not going to need that full allocation, and we will only need a portion of it. Mm-hmm. The portion, obviously, to be determined, but we needed to, at that point in time, adopt a conservative estimate of the money that we're going to need for the paving project. Again, we're going to have some good news at the budget hearing. Our architects are going to provide an update on the capital project budget and how much, if any, we will need from the general fund to pay for that project.
Now, Garden Street School's on the market too.
Yes, it is.
Now, once that is sold, how will that help?
So once Garden Street is sold, the state has a prescribed method for accounting for this. So once Garden Street is sold, you must first pay down any debt that's outstanding on the building. Right. And I believe as of June 30th, there will be about $500,000 outstanding, somewhere in that range. So after that's paid off, first you pay off your debt, then you have to set up what's called a reserve for tax reduction. And you need to set that money aside and draw down on it for each of the next 10 years in order to lower the tax levy. So that money is not available for spending, operationally. It's prescribed that it's to be set up in a reserve for tax reduction and drawn down for each of the next 10 years.
But that will not occur until the building is sold.
That won't occur until the building is sold. The current agreement has a contingency period that the developer is able to pull out of the deal, and that won't be known until the end of June. After the end of June, during their due diligence period, if they are still interested, then it becomes a firm agreement.
And there's another proposition on the ballot when voters go to the polls on the 15th, dealing with the purchase of new school buses. And as we've said so many times, Valerie doesn't run the school, Victor doesn't run the school, it's the transportation department.
Absolutely.
Because without those buses, school cannot operate. $765,000 being asked to purchase what?
754.
Right.
And there are 8 vehicles that we're requesting be purchased. Again, this is part of a long-term plan to make sure that we're purchasing an even number of buses each year, rather than being forced to purchase a significant number of buses, which is actually what created the situation that we're in. Back in 0102,
I remember those days, yes.
in 0102, the district purchased, I want to say, 23 buses in a single year, and then a few years after that, they purchased another 16, and then 15, and that really creates an erratic, spike in purchases. What we'd like to do is commit to a level approach to purchasing, just 5 to 8 buses each year, because we know that they have a useful life. They're not going to last forever. So now those 23 buses that were purchased in 0102, they're turning 17 years old.
And how many folks have a car that's 17 years old out
Right,
there?
and we know that it's inevitable that they're going to have to come out of service. So rather than wait for all of them to fall out of service and have to purchase another 23 in 1 year, which would cost us a few $1 million,
Sure.
we want to make sure that we are committing to replacing them on an even keel for each of the next few years.
Okay, so there'll be the basic budget question, there'll be the simple proposition for $754,000 for the purchase of new school buses and the various school board candidates as well.
Right.
Get out and vote May 15th, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. at Brewster High. The sounds of music filled the hallowed halls of the Brewster High School PAC Center the other day. World-renowned musicians, a group calling themselves the Verona String Quartet, came to Brewster. It was really a special day.
Well, it is. We have a magnificent performing arts program in the district. We have very committed music educators, and they want to bring authentic experiences to our children. So they are always seeking out ways to do that. And the Verona Spring Quartet was just one more example, and something happens every year. In previous years, we've had an actual jazz musician who happens to be the father of one of our music educators come and talk about his own experience and how he played, and students were riveted by that experience. And this is just yet another contemporary example of providing ways for children to see themselves once they, if they choose to go on to college and study, music formally, they can see themselves in, participating in a quartet like this. So I think it's a tribute to our educators, but it's also a wonderful example of ways that our children can be engaged with the real world.
And Steve, where these people played, the Oberlin Conservancy, Indiana University, NYU, and Abu Dhabi, and the Beethoven House School in Bonn, Germany. And now they add Brewster to their list.
It's terrific. It's terrific. And Valerie's right. How children are inspired by this is something you can't even calculate. This is their getting close to a dream, and them seeing it is indeed reachable.
We're going to give a listen to a short segment of one of their presentations, then talk to Patty Taylor and Sasha Ono right here on Spotlight on Brewster Schools. Well, the Verona String Quartet visited Brewster High. Patty Taylor, the music director here at Brewster School District. What an experience for young people.
So it's so great. We're so lucky that we have so many colleagues that have these connections to other professionals in our field and can bring them here for the students to experience and get to watch just a really top-notch musical performance that, they may not seek out on their own, but they get the experience here in the Brewster schools.
When you think about the experiences the young people have had this year performing in New York City with the St. Patrick's Day Parade, concerts, shows on the great stage here. It's been a super year.
It's been a fantastic year. You know, we just have a very vibrant performing arts community and the support of our administration that allows us to really thrive and offer a lot of opportunities for all of our students. We're very grateful for that.
And a special kudos to Sasha Ono.
Absolutely. This is all because of Sasha, so she definitely could tell you more.
Sasha, come on down, as they say. Sasha Ono.
Hi, nice to
Good,
see you
good seeing you. How did the Verona Quartet come to Brewster? How did you know these people?
Well, I went to school with two of the musicians in Cleveland, and we've been working with Caramore for the last 2 years. This is our third year having them come to Brewster. Every year they have a different string quartet that does an educational residency there, and they visit all different schools around the area. So we're so lucky that they were able to come here.
Now, the four members of the quartet come from all parts of the world.
Correct. Yes, they do. They studied in different places, and they found each other and have done several residencies at different universities, and won many different prizes internationally.
Have you performed with them?
No, I have not.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Sasha Ono is the Verona Quartet, visited Brewster High. A wonderful, wonderful learning experience with the students in Putnam County. When Mike Woods walked in the door the other day, he said, "Don't blame the weather on me." But Mike Woods, of course, the Fox 5 meteorologist, has been coming to Brewster now for 6 years in succession. And the kids love him, and he's great with the children.
Well, he gives them yet another example of what you do with math and science. A meteorologist is really an example of a STEM career. Mm-hmm. I mean, you do have to understand, how weather works, how the elements work, how, to use complicated data analytics tools that are part of that. It's not just what they see, which is him standing there talking about the weather. It's the behind-the-scenes part that he introduces them to when he does come. And it's very inspiring to children. The adults, are also, equally excited when he comes. And again, what an amazing way for our intermediate level children to be exposed to a career. Because again, that's part of the experience we want to give them. Not just this is the content for science or this is the content for math, but what does that look like if I were to be interested in a career later on in my life? And so that was just an experience that is just invaluable.
And see, when he told the children that when he was their age in California, he wanted to be a weatherman. So who knows who one of those children sitting in that class
It could happen
someday.
again, just like that. Yeah.
Mike Woods, welcome back to Brewster. It must be spring. Why spring, you ask? Because on a beautiful spring day, Fox 5 weatherman Michael Woods visits the CV Star School each and every year for the last umpteenth year to visit Franklin Morton, his class, and some of the students here at the school. What an honor.
This is a great honor. We're so fortunate to have Mike here today. We've been studying weather for about the past month now, and what a great opportunity to have someone like Mike Woods come in and to share and to take it to another level and to share with students how he predicts weather, and also how he uses core subject matter in his everyday job, how he uses 21st century learning skills in his everyday job, perseverance, critical thinking, he's communicating, working with people, and so what a great opportunity. We do teach it here, and it's nice to have somebody like Mike Woods come in and share that information and teach the kids more about weather than I ever could. Yes.
Well, Mike, welcome back.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Ms. Lamore. It's great to be here. This is like part of my annual routine, as you mentioned. So I'm not sure how many years. It seems like it's been, 5, 6, 7 years that we've been out here. But it's always fantastic, and the kids are always so excited. So it's awesome.
What's the message you bring them each year?
The bottom line is, if you work hard, you can pretty much achieve whatever it is that you like. Certainly you have to put the pieces of the puzzle together through your math skills, your speaking skills, English, and just the whole thought of putting a story together, and then just the drive and the will to get out there and do the work to achieve your goals. It can be done, and everyone can do it.
And of course, Mike began out in California just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, well, a couple of years ago, yeah. Well, when I was about their age is actually when I first had my first interest in weather. When I was around, say, 8 or 9 years old, that's when I decided I wanted to become a weatherman. But I grew up in Sacramento, California, but I never actually worked there. I worked as an intern, but I moved to North Carolina. and then Phoenix, and then here in New York, I moved here in 2001, so that was quite a while ago.
So if you can say someday one of these youngsters right here in this classroom could become the next Mike Woods.
Yeah, we're definitely hoping so. I mean, I think Mike might be impressed today with their knowledge about weather. They know about high pressure, low pressure,
Wow.
and hurricanes, tornadoes, and whatnot. And I'm sure they got some good questions for you because it's been a very interesting winter.
A long one, too. As a matter of fact, they're probably going to ask me about that. That's why I waited till a nice spring day like today. Let's get out here.
Yeah, right.
Well, once again, welcome,
Thank you so much.
and thank you so much.
Yes, thank
Mike
you.
Woods visits the Brewster School, one of the highlights of the school year here in the Brewster District. And talking about careers, Career Day was held the other day at Brewster High. Everything from psychologists to police officers and everything in between. It was great having all these people visit us.
Well, you know what? That came out of ongoing conversation that started with an interview of seniors, or our current seniors. And one of the things that they said to me when I was engaged in interviews, and the thing that's sort of stuck with me is, they know that the goal is to go on to college. They understand the importance of ongoing learning. But one of the things that they wish they could have done more, which was one of the questions I asked them, was to learn about careers. And so I shared that idea with the administrators at the high school, with Mrs. Hoyler, Dr. Young, and Mrs. Sullivan. And I said, this is a great opportunity for us to create a career day that not only focuses on the seniors, but who do generally have a better idea about careers, but our juniors as well. And so it was an amazing experience that tapped a lot of our parents. I mean, we had a lot of parents who, volunteered to participate in one or both of the sessions. We also were able to bring our new friends from Local 60 here to talk about the trades, and that was an amazing, exposure to some of our students who, again, may not have an opportunity to learn about, what does it take to become a metal cutter or any number of those trades, and this gave them an opportunity not only to hear it, but also to potentially spend some of their Saturdays at Local 60 at their amazing training center that's right here in Brewster, actually starting kind of a pre-apprenticeship kind of experience. So that was really important, and now that it happened, and we there are some tweaks that need to take place. We'll memorialize this for years to come, that there's no reason why we couldn't, since we have so many parents doing so many different jobs and roles for our children to be able to participate. And on top of this, all of the strategic coherence planning skills, critical thinking, collaboration, communication, perseverance, adaptability, and civic responsibility were built into the career day. So we asked the presenters to look at those skills as a way of helping children to understand the importance of those skills and how they use them in their own work world.
You spoke of career days in the past, Steve.
Yes.
Some of the questions, these kids really put their thinking caps on.
Well, they are, and that's the amazing thing.
Yeah.
You compare it to when we were younger and maybe more clueless. Today's kids are not.
Yeah.
And the way that they've created this day, it's win-win. It's win-win, of course, for the student, child, but their parents become an active part of this very, very important role of introducing children to careers.
Everything from trades engineering to human and public services, business entrepreneurship. How about technology and innovation? Arts and humanities, health services. These are some of the occupations that students here at Brewster High are learning about during Career Day. With us is Dr. Robin Young, the co-principal at Brewster High School. And Robin, tell us about this great first annual Career Day at Brewster High.
Well, Dr. Valerie Henning-Piedmont had this as her brainchild, that she wanted our students to have something for them in the high school because they're going off into the world. We know how difficult it is to decide on a career, and in the 21st century, we don't even know what those jobs or the careers and the professions will look like. So I must commend all of the volunteers who have come in. They're wonderful, and I'm sure that you'll mention them by name. There are quite a few. We've had over 20 volunteers speaking to them. And we had a keynote speaker, Lauren Harper. And I just opened by reminding students that the most important thing are the qualities that they possess and how we've worked on the strategic coherence plan, and the qualities of critical thinking, communication, collaboration, adaptability, perseverance, and civic responsibility are what will help make them successful in a world that we don't know what that will look like. And one of the things that was very interesting I found out about a book that the new up-and-coming companies are giving out, that when you sign it, they give out this book, Becoming Brilliant. I do not get any money for it. But this is what was so appealing. When you look at the qualities it talks about, it could have actually been taken right from our strategic coherence plan. That in the future, if you want to be successful, you need to have these qualities so that you could adapt to whatever life throws at you. And that's pretty much what what Lauren Harper talked about, that you don't, and failure is fine. We also talked about all of the famous people who could have given up, but you don't give up, you define yourself. And we went through a list of people who are famous that everyone would know, and they were told that they wouldn't make it. So that was really to prime the pump, and then they went off to the sessions with our wonderful presenters, and I'm sure you're going to give everyone a glimpse.
Well, again, some of these presenters, I say, professionals, all actually professionals, but the different various occupations, so that students here at Brewster High are getting that heads up. We're going to take a look now and meet some of these people. Robin, we thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, and we'll be right back. One of the more popular programs here today during Career Day, the Canine Corps. Deputy Randall Hill of the Putnam Sheriff's Department's with us with his dog Flash. Flash the Bloodhound, or the only bloodhound, I presume, in Putnam County except for the state police. And what's the message, Randall, you're bringing to the young people at Brewster High today?
We're here today just to talk about careers in law enforcement and try to give everybody information and get them through their high school days so they can go off to college and hopefully become police officers.
Now, when you were in high school, was in the back of your mind always to become involved in law enforcement?
Absolutely. After high school, I started taking tests, and eventually 4 years later, I got called off the list, and here I am today.
The rest is history.
History.
What is your name?
No thanks, I'm really good.
And what is your name?
Chris Torioni.
Chris, you think about getting involved in law enforcement?
I might dabble in it, yeah.
Interesting lessons?
Yeah, it was a really good teacher. I loved every moment of it. Seems like a great guy. Nice dog, yeah.
Beautiful dog, huh?
Yeah.
What about you guys? Any comments back there?
No, I don't have comments.
Nobody? They want to talk today. They just want to learn more about the Canine Corps of the Putnam Sheriff's Department. Another one of the very popular programs today here at Brewster High on Career Day is Dan Stockfield, who's teaching young people about the art of photography. Let's listen in.
All right, photo retouching, okay. Adobe products, exactly. Learn everything that you guys can as far as software now, as much as you can, because on my resume, they saw that I had Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator and Adobe PageMaker experience. And that's what got me in the door, and then I talked my way into the job. You follow? Okay, temp agencies, huge. Plus, you can sample and try jobs that you never thought you would do. So it's a great way to go. Sound cool? Great. Now, Kraft is a multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar company. They got money to burn, right? They are giving us tons of training opportunities. Being the nerd that I was, I took every one of those training opportunities. Within a year and a half, I was a vice president at the New York Times at their credit union.
So some important tips from Dan Stockfield of Brewster, one of the volunteers today at Career Day at Brewster High. Well, we live in a world of technology all around us, and business and information systems are being taught to young people today on Career Day by Victor Carlson, our Deputy Superintendent of Schools, and by Robin Green, who's talking about asset management investor relations. Let's go in and check it out.
I was auditing local school districts, and I said to myself, you know what, this is something that really interests me. Of course, I loved education. I wanted to be a social studies teacher. So it was a natural kind of, revert back for me to get back into education. That's something that I always had a passion for. So that's how I ended up getting back at school districts. One of the business officials that I was interviewing had a vacancy for a treasurer position, which is the accountant for the school district, and she asked, would you like to work for me? Absolutely. It's not, I knew that wasn't my end game, but I needed to take that step in the right direction to end up getting to where I wanted to be. So I took that job and I started working as a treasurer at a local district down in Westchester. My boss who had hired me then retired, and I was fortunate enough to have an experience with her that allowed her to transition me into her role, and that's how I got into it. So I think that the most important thing to know is you don't need to know what you want to do at this point in time, because I thought I did, but I was way off. I'm not a social studies teacher. I respect teachers in the utmost degree, but I quickly learned it wasn't for me. So I hope that helps kind of calm your concern, because I'm sure everyone's worried. You don't know what you want to do when you grow up, but you will figure it out, and you'll figure it out sometimes by accident. Sometimes by accident you'll figure it out.
So the first annual Career Day here at Brewster High School was a great success. Many more Career Days to come in the future. We'd like to thank all the volunteers, the professionals, the parents, the tradespeople who came in to work with our students in the Brewster District. Thanks so much for joining us. Some students might have a career in the field of sports or athletics, who knows? And we had, as we said earlier, 5 young ladies and gentlemen who signed letters of intent to study and play sports in schools around the country. 5. That's in one time. That's amazing.
That is amazing. It's such a heartwarming time to see our graduates, our students who are about to graduate, are meeting the college or coaches who are going to be integral to their lives when they enter college, and they're able to go to college because of their talents as an athlete, but also their talents as having high academic standards and maintaining great performance as a student, which they're going to need as they go into college. So it's such a great time to see them. Their parents are here, obviously Coach Berardo and our Mrs. Hoyler as principal, and it's just a great way to kind of recognize that this is another opportunity to send our young people off to a place where they're going to continue to grow and learn and find the career that they're interested in assuming, or careers.
The quintet, by the way, included Manny Costales, Ryan Jackson, J.J. Jimenez, Tim Holler, and Emily Schaub. And see, what was so neat too, the parents were so appreciative of the education their children received in this district for the past umpteen years.
Well, and it's a K-12 experience. I mean, in senior year you see the end of the process, but when you talk to these folks you see that it's been ongoing for all of these 12, 13 years.
Yeah. Shall we meet them? Let's meet the quintet right here on Spotlight on Brewster Schools. Well, it's that time of the year again. Letter of intent signings here at Brewster High School. Dean Berardo, the handsome athletic director of the Brewster Central School District's with us. And Dean, of course, 3 handsome young men here, the first of many. It's happy times in Brewster.
Always exciting. This is a culminating event for our athletes to go to college. They've represented us well, and to participate, and these guys have been part of some nice years for our program, so it's great to see them fulfill their wishes and dreams and take a next step in their lives and their academic careers, collegiate careers for athletics.
We have some football players here. We're also going to be talking to a baseball player and a field hockey player as well. But let's talk to the football gentleman first. Good morning, sir.
How are you?
It says Cortland on his shirt. That means it's J.J. Jimenez. Why Cortland, J.J.?
I just felt like a great fit. I love the program. I love the school. And I don't know. It was one of those schools that you just felt like you were at home when you got to the place.
Next to J.J. is a gentleman going to a small school called Morrisville State near Syracuse. And that means it's Ryan Jackson. And Ryan, good morning, sir.
How you doing?
Why Morrisville State?
I like the family atmosphere that was there, and the coaching staff, the young coaching staff was really good to me, so I'm going to take the next step into going.
And SUNY Maritime is number 3 on the list. Linebacker, Manny Costales. Same question, why?
The team was just welcoming. The coach is very, very, happy, welcoming to me. It's comfortable, feels like home.
Has it been a good experience for you playing football here in Brewster?
Yeah, I can't say it's been bad. every game, with my teammates has been great. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Would you encourage other young people to get involved in football, either on the flag football level, elementary kids, middle school kids?
100%. It teaches discipline that you start at a young age, getting yelled at by the coaches, and then just building it up all the way there, learning life lessons.
Is there any one person, JJ, you really want to thank over the years here in Brewster when it comes to football?
Well, you have to thank your parents, obviously, for pushing you to try new things. Thank the coaches for sticking with us and never giving up on us and teaching us all new things that we can just use for the rest of our lives.
And one of the coaches over here, good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Introduce yourself.
I'm Ronald Reed. I'm an assistant coach here at Brewster High School.
What about these three young guys, Ron?
Well, I was lucky enough to have these young guys in 8th grade, coaching them in youth. You always saw that they had a strong work ethic. They were very respectful. They come from great homes, from great parents. And, if they stay respectful and humble and they continue grinding, they're going to do well.
Heard it from the boss himself over here. Should we make it official, Dean? Make it official. Gentlemen, sign that letter of intent. Round of applause. It's now official. Well, signing number 2 today takes place here at Brewster High. A baseball player, a catcher, young man by the name of Tim Holler, who's off to Alfred State. Dean, tell us about this young man.
Tim has been, another one of our stellar athletes, tremendous human being. He's just a consistent baseball player. I know, like this year, he's demonstrating a tremendous amount of leadership for Coach Cunningham and the team. So, tremendous representative of Brewster Athletics and Brewster Central School District. So we're very proud of his future decisions and what he's done for us as well.
Matt Cunningham, we'll come on this side over here. Tell us about Tim. What kind of a guy is he?
Well, Timmy came up with us his sophomore year, and we knew right away he was going to be a real asset to our program, and he has done nothing to change that opinion. He's actually done a lot more. He's a tremendous leader. He's one of our captains this year. He does everything we need him to do, both on and off the field, and we couldn't be more proud. He is a true representative of Brewster High School baseball.
And I guess a gal who's probably bursting with pride today is Linda. Congratulations, Ma.
Thank you.
What do you think about this handsome guy over here?
Oh, I am very proud of him. I've watched him grow up, as from a boy to a man, and then from a young baseball player now to a, ultimately a collegiate athlete, and it's been a very impressive path, and I'm very proud of watching him grow through that time period.
Is your head that big yet? What's going through your mind this morning?
Yeah, I'm just realizing how much hard work actually pays off, and I'm happy about it. So,
future's going to be baseball someday?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not worried about that changing. So,
why'd you select Alfred State?
I just like the major that I'm looking for, and it just kind of seems more like home, and we have family near there. So, yeah.
We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Sign a letter of intent. Let's make it official. And the newest member of the Alfred State, congratulations. Well, Dean, we can't leave the young ladies out. We have a gal, we're signing a letter of intent to play field hockey.
Yeah, Emily Schaub is playing field hockey and been a really good member of our program over the past several years. Strong contributor to, we've been kind of building the program, and, we won a sectional game this year, pushed one of our better teams in the section to not to the result we wanted, but had a good game, and she's definitely been one of the reasons why the team has, improved, along with coach, of course. But they need the players to, work with the coach, and she's been certainly one of the reasons why the team has, grown in success over the past couple of years.
Well, talking about the coach, Jennifer Hirschman's with us, and Jen, good seeing you this morning. Tell us about our starlet in the center here.
Emily Schaub is a fantastic field hockey player. She has been playing offense for me for a couple of years, and she can move the ball quickly, she can run quickly, she can take shots on net that not many other players can get in, and she'll find the back of the net, which has really been her greatest asset, is scoring goals when we needed her to.
Emily, congratulations.
Thank you.
Why Hartwick?
Well, I just really like the surrounding area of Hartwick, and the environment is good.
When did you start playing field hockey?
I started in 7th grade.
You got bit by the field hockey bug, huh?
Yeah, just never left me.
Mom, I know you must be very proud over here. A lot of commitment in field hockey. I know my daughter played field hockey many years ago, and it's a tough sport.
It is a tough sport, but it's the one sport for Emily that was never tough to commit to. She would be disappointed if practice was canceled. That's why she decided on field hockey in college.
Well, that's wonderful. We wish you the very best of luck. Should we sign that letter of intent, make it official? Let's do that right now. The pen comes out. I have a pen for you right here. And that letter of intent is signed. And Brewster's Emily Schaub will soon become a freshman at Hartwick College playing field hockey. Congratulations. A number of recognitions. This is the time of the year.
It is.
You know, things winding down, graduations right around the corner, recognition time. And local recognitions, the county government, the Putnam County Legislature, recognized some outstanding high school seniors around the county, including a number from Brewster High. You want to commend them?
Absolutely. These wonderful adults, young adults, who were recognized by the Putnam County Youth Bureau are Barbara Becker, Teresa Carlin, Leo Faticus, Clayton Livingston, Alonzo McLemore, Fernando Mora, Gabriela Ruda, Valerie Sempre. These are exceptional young people who have been doing amazing work across Putnam County. It also includes the other high schools in the county. They are our upper class people, young men and women who are, contributing and they're volunteering in the community. And this is one way to recognize that level of volunteerism and how important it is in terms of being a civically minded community member.
And it's the same names you hear over and over again, be it in the classroom, be it for scholars, be it for the NJROTC, be it on the football field.
Sure. These are your natural leaders.
Yeah.
And I would say that our community here, our country as a community, needs precisely this at this time.
Well, congratulations one and all. You also have a couple of other congratulations and recognitions. Our friends at the Brewster High School Model UN Club did it again.
Yep.
They went down to Scarsdale the other day, Edgemont High School. 5 young people brought back awards, most ever.
Well, this has been an incredible year for Model UN under Mr. Moulin, who, he's so committed to the mission of students being actively involved in the practice and the use of government. And these young people have been, even from last year, we have a young man, Victor Diaz, who went off last year to become a page in Washington, D.C. with our Senator Schumer. And other young people who are really committed to, and this is not the only thing that they're doing, by the way,
Right.
Eric. They're fully subscribed.
I see Victor every Sunday morning when I go shopping.
Yep, there you go.
There he is at the checkout counter.
They're working, right? They're working, and they have other tasks and things that they're committed to during the course of their lives as students. And this is just one of them at the top of the list of being just really a great opportunity to practice, being a student of government and applying those, solving problems associated with government when they work together and competing with other students who more than likely they're going to sit next to when they're in college.
Well, Henry Bloss, by the way, was honored for being the best delegate. Aaron Renzi delivered the best position paper. Honorable mention awards presented to our friend Victor Diaz for his travel ban congressional committee participation, Chris McCarthy for the 30 Years War, and Supriya Sharma for Council on Climate Change. So again, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Ask for more.
Now, I know you also want to congratulate Mu Alpha Theta, the Math Honor Society, and of course the Brewster High School Bears Facts.
Well, again, another wonderful example of our students who are going above and beyond in their call of duty to volunteer. Now, Mu Alpha Theta is our chapter at Brewster High School of the Math Honor Society. And students engage in lots of volunteerism. They raise money through the Mathathon that actually benefits St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, as well as the Brewster Community Food Pantry and Adopt a Family. They raised money. They've been raising money for those causes. They work with some of our children, CD Star students. You can see, them working with them to kind of grow that next group of what I call Mu Theta Alphas. And this year, they actually were recognized for all that work through that chapter and what children are actually involved in. So the criteria is that the chapter has to be active for 2 years, and that they are looking at the community service and volunteerism of the students as a way to determine who would receive the Diane Rubin Service Award. So this year, and is actually on the evening of the Mu Alpha Theta induction ceremony, on that day, the high school chapter, Mu Alpha Theta, received the Diane Rubin Service Award, which was a significant recognition that the activities that students are engaged in is exactly what they should be doing. That it's not just being interested in math, but it's being interested in contributing to your community. And I just think that's an amazing accolade and a way for children to be involved.
Once again, that contributing to community, that's what it's all about.
It's an amazing shift in the paradigm of public education that it's not good enough to be smart. You really have to stay connected to your group. And that we have leadership involved in all of these activities is right where it's supposed to be.
Okay. Brewster Bearfax, another.
Absolutely,
kudos.
absolutely. And this award was under Mrs. Deidre Hollick's leadership, and she's done an amazing job, working with the students, and deserves the accolades for that as well as along with her students. The other accolade goes to two of our teachers and the Bearfax student newspaper, Brewster High School, Mr. Rob Loabo and Mrs. Cynthia Amuso are part of the advisory team for the Bearfax. They were recognized for coming in second place on the national, the 2018 American Scholastic Press Association newspaper competition. So they came in second for the cumulative body of work that's been a part of Bearfax. And if you see Bearfax, it is absolutely extraordinary. Very thoughtful, lots of articles and contributions and participation on the part of a lot of students. And students take that very seriously. I mean, they really want to use that as a platform for shaping their voice and how they become engaged in the civic life of the Brewster High School community and the larger community of Brewster.
Okay, so once again, congratulations to all those for the lovely recognitions. High school graduation coming up before you know it. My gosh, where do you go to?
Where did the year go? And lots of things, as you know, happen in the next 6 to 8 weeks leading up to graduation. I mean, last Friday was junior prom, so I popped in there to see our dazzling juniors. Celebrating that kind of rite of passage that they have, and it won't be long before we're followed by the senior prom, and obviously lots of awards programs. The National Honor Society induction program was recent. Mu Alpha Theta and the Science Honor Society, so a number of those will be coming up. And obviously our sports awards program, the seniors this year, as you know, as they did last year for the first time, they will have their senior walk, which I'm sure you'll be covering.
The 9th of June,
absolutely.
On the calendar already.
So this is the sort of season of celebrations, and rightfully so. It should be celebrations. I mean, students have worked hard, our educators have worked hard, everyone in the district who supports children, have worked really hard to make sure that this was another successful year for children in Brewster, and that we can send off the 287 seniors to their lives, whether they're going right to college or they're going to the military or the world of work.
287 seniors, see, huh?
Wowee. But it's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
It's an amazing accomplishment, and it really does underscore the value that the whole village and town is involved with this. This is our enterprise, and we couldn't have been successful without that kind of cooperation and support. So we're always thankful to Brewster for providing that.
Okay, we thank you. Steve Jambo, President of the Brewster Board of Education, Valerie Henning Piedmont, Once again, we'd like to remind you the vote for the 2018-19 budget takes place on May 15th, a Tuesday, from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. at Brewster High. Get out and vote. Thank you again for joining us. Until next time, bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you.